I'm a professional psychologist. I'm also a human being, and I wonder sometimes, why is it way too easy to offend people that I love so much? Hi, I'm Dr. Paul Jenkins, a professional psychologist, and I've noticed that there's a psychology behind this that I want to share with you. I've also got a powerful tool that I'm going to share with you that will make it less likely that you're going to offend them again. Let's take a look at an obvious factor here. Usually when you offend someone, you didn't intend to offend them. Is this true for you too? I've noticed this especially with people that I love. If I've offended them, I start picking up on the signals that they feel offended. Maybe it's Vicky, my wife, maybe it's one of the kids, a brother or a sister, and you get the vibes, right? You get the energy from them that they're offended. And then you start to scramble, wait a minute, what did I do? Now sometimes it's obvious because there was some kind of a heated exchange, but a lot of times you're not even aware that you offended them. The reason for this is because offense lies in perception, not intention. So even if you don't intend to offend them, you might find that you're pretty good at it. I know I am. I never intend to offend someone. I really don't. But I've found that I'm pretty good at it. So let's acknowledge that right up front. It doesn't come from intention, it comes from perception. And you don't control their perceptions. There's some things that you can do, but you don't control that. So let's acknowledge that up front, see where we can go from there. I want to share a quick story with you that illustrates this. As I was working on an inpatient psychiatric unit in a hospital. And I remember I was working the night shift. I was going around with my clipboard. I was making the rounds, checking the patients and making sure everybody was where they needed to be. And one of the patients approached me. Now this man came up with a little bit of an angry look in his eyes. And we had training in the hospital about how to keep ourselves safe in case, there was some kind of an attack or an assault, which happened occasionally. And so I was a little bit on guard as he came up to me and he glared at me. And he said, "You are evil." Okay, now how should I feel? Offended? I guess I could have been offended. What if my perception was, oh, I am evil? No, I didn't think that. See, my thought was, oh, this patient who's in here for a lot of reasons is delusional. He doesn't even know me. I didn't take offense. Now, are you surprised? Would you take offense if the psychiatric patient approached you and told you you were evil? Probably not. Now, the reason is you've done some thinking around that allows you to not take offense in that situation. I simply made a note in the chart. I shared it with a few of my coworkers. I put a little note in there for his treatment coordinator so that it would be known. And that's it. I did not take offense. When we take offense, it's because we attribute more meaning to it. What this comes down to is it's our own thoughts that have us being offended. It's not what the other person said or did. What you're saying or doing matters as it impacts other people, people that you love. But notice that it's about the thoughts. The most common thoughts that create a feeling of offense are being demeaned or unfairly characterized or accused or mistreated. These are the thoughts that people are having when they feel offended. If someone that we love feels offended, it's because they are thinking these thoughts. It doesn't have anything to do with what we intend. Now, if you intend to offend someone, that's your bad. And you get to adjust that. But their thinking about it is what causes their feeling of offense. That's important for us to know as we deal with our loved ones. And if we know the most common thoughts, that they've been insulted or demeaned or accused or unfairly characterized, then we can take additional steps in our own word choice, for example, or how we deliver a message to try to guard against that. But it's still not up to us. Their feeling offended depends on their thinking. So why are they thinking those things? I don't know. It could be a number of reasons. Again, check your own behavior. If you intend to insult them, if you intend to accuse them of something or to characterize them in a way that they are not going to like, check that. Okay, just look inside of yourself and see if there's something going on there that you get to adjust. Now, beyond that, it often boils down to lapses in communication. Communication is a really difficult process. Think about it. In a communication, you've got a sender and you've got a receiver. And the sender is where the message starts, that's where it originates, and the receiver is where it's going. Okay, that's the final destination. The sender has to encode the message, usually in some kind of a language, but it could also be facial expressions or tone of voice or nonverbal cues. But it gets encoded over here on this end, and then that message travels across some kind of a gap to get to the receiver. Now the receiver has to decode it. So whatever the code is that this one came up with has to be decoded on that side before the message gets to where it's going. And there can be problems in the decoding too. Oh, sorry. I just encoded my message in Finnish. Some of you probably picked up on that. But if you don't have a decoder for Finnish, then the message isn't going to get across. So there's the encoding, there's the decoding, and then in the meantime, in between, there's a whole lot of noise. Look, we could go into detail on a full-on communication training. I'm going to shortcut this for you a little bit. I've created a cheat sheet, 5 effective strategies for communication. You want to go get that. drpauljenkins.com/communication. Just let me know where to send it. It's a 1-page sheet. It's going to save you a lot of time and hassle in the communication front. Once you get the cheat sheet, use that to start looking at those different areas where you might be able to make some adjustments in your own communication style so that it's less likely that you're going to offend people. I promised you a powerful tool that will make it so much less likely that you're going to offend someone. Just a couple of weeks ago, I had the amazing opportunity to do an impromptu 12-state road trip across the United States to help my son move all of his stuff from our basement to his new home in Danbury, Connecticut. And as we were driving across the country, we obviously had a lot of time to talk, which I loved, that time to connect with my son. But on day 1, there was a little bit of tension in our communication. He was making some new changes to his life that I didn't necessarily agree with. At least I thought I didn't. So the communication got a little bit tense. I noticed him being a little defensive. I noticed myself being a little forceful in what I was saying. And the feeling just wasn't right. Have you been in those conversations before? Now, we are both certified life coaches. I'm a professional psychologist. We're adults who understand communication, and we could both see that there was a little problem going on. And my son suggested that we take a look at our agendas. Now, your agenda is your purpose or what you're really driving for in the conversation. It was brilliant for him to suggest that because it caused both of us to just pause for a minute and take a look at what is my agenda. That's the tool I wanted to share with you. You guys, this is a game changer. When you can pause long enough to take a look at your agenda. What is it that I'm after here? And as we took it to that level, I was able to acknowledge I am trying to prevent you from making what I think is a mistake or doing something that I think is going to bring about unwanted consequences for you. I was able to identify it. He was able to say, I'm trying to convince you that I'm not making a mistake, that this is all good and that I've thought it through. He was able to identify his agenda. Here's the magic. As soon as we both identified our agenda, we were both able to release it and get back to a real communication. It's a powerful tool that helps you to be in a position where you're not as likely to offend. Just pause, ask yourself, what's my agenda? Be real about it, be sincere about it, and even if you can articulate it, it's going to put you in a whole different place. I hope you found that helpful. If you're getting some good benefit from this, the next video you'll want to watch is how to reprogram your mind to stay strong and positive. That's coming up next. Cue that one up. I'll see you there.